If you're in the market for a plug-in hybrid two-seat Roadster, you have quite a slim choice of cars. In other words, you've got one. This is the world's only production plug-in hybrid two-seat Roadster. So BMW has somewhat cornered the market. This car is quite niche because it's kind of priced right in the middle of a half-decent supercar, but it's not really a supercar. It's like it's a hybrid sports car. It's kind of a breed of its own, and I like that about it. It's treading its own path. It's being distinctly unusual. I cannot believe it's been 4 years since the i8 came into our world. This car that looked like a concept car that you could just go out and buy. This is the new version. It's been tweaked in a few places you don't really notice. It's got a little bit more battery range. But there's also something else it's got. It's got no roof when you press this button. Because in 14 seconds, it becomes a Roadster. I'm going to go for a drive and get some sunburn. Surprisingly, for a car that is so technologically advanced on the outside, they've kind of played it relatively safe on the inside. I mean, it's attractive and it's familiar. Lots of this is familiar to the BMW range, like the climate control area, the buttons and the infotainment, and this iDrive wheel here, which does all of this 8.8, I think it is, inch screen. But I think they could have been a bit more imaginative with materials and styles like they have actually in the i3. And the i3 is not even a new car anymore, but it still looks really, really cool. Leather almost feels a bit too conventional for this. I'm going to put my sunglasses on because it's incredibly hot and sunny today. You probably can hear that a little whine. The electromotor is working on its own, and I've got it in comfort mode. Now if I switch the gear stick across to the left, you immediately hear the motor strike up, that 3-cylinder 1.5 turbo mini derived engine, and all the dials in front of me go red because it says you're in sport mode now. And I've got a heads up display which tells me the speed, the RPM, and also the local speed limit in this particular stretch of road. I can either go plus or minus on the stick to shift up and down gears. You've got 6 gears, or I can use the flappy paddles. The engine on its own, which is driving the back wheels, is 228 brake horsepower. The total power, when you've got the electric motor, which is based on the front and it drives the front wheels, when it all works together, like now, got 369 brake horsepower. Now the electric motor is 12 horsepower up on the original Mark 1 version of the i8. So they've improved the electric performance, and like I said before, they've given it a little bit more range and electric power. So these battery packs are under my left elbow and now allowing me, if I wanted, to do 33 miles, not 23. It was 23, it's now 33. So 10 more mile range in eDrive, and eDrive is that button there next to my start stop. If you're not driving the i8, this is the only other chair available. But I've come and sat in here because I can show you how high the center console is. It's really high, and that's because the battery packs all live within here. There are 96 cells, and they're broken down into 6 modules, 3 and then on top another 3. This isn't specific to the i8. You can get it on other BMW models. It's called the display key. It's a really neat little thing. It kind of looks like one of these old clamshell Motorola phones, which isn't a bad thing. Neat little blue stitched wallet. So you unlock it and lock it with these 2 physical buttons, and you can unlock the boot, the luggage lid. But on the side, you press the on button, and it's got an intelligent touchscreen. It tells you how much percent charge the car has. It tells you whether it's needing a service yet. It lets you precondition it. In other words, you can preheat or pre-cool it when the car's sitting, and you can also lock and unlock it. So it's a really cool little thing. And this thing charges wirelessly on some models of BMW by just sitting on a pad. I mean, I would not want to lose that and have to go to someone like Mr. Minute to get a spare key. It would probably cost more than most cars I've owned. 0 to 62 arrives in 4.6 seconds, which is 0.2 of a second slower than its coupe brother, and that's really due to extra weight. But saying that, 60 kilos more than the coupe is really not a lot. Most convertibles are vastly more flabby than their coupe brothers. It's restricted top speed to 155, as a lot of German cars are. That sound is incredible, given that people would expect this car to have a V6 or a V8 or a V10 or a V12. It's not. It's 3 cylinders, 1.5 litre, twin turbo, shared with the BMW Mini. A lot of people are doing away with a hard top convertible now because it's too much weight too high up and it ruins the feel. This comes up, and if you look at the way it goes in vertically, and these parts here are one of the first 3D printed parts on a mass-produced car. That's 14 seconds from full up to full down, and you can do that at up to 31 miles an hour if you wanted to. I can't believe how little scuttle shake we are getting. And when I say scuttle shake, it's lateral shudder that you normally get from the dashboard on convertibles, because when you cut a roof off a car, you normally, by very definition, make it a bit floppy. And this doesn't feel floppy. In fact, I can't detect it being any less rigid than the coupe, which is remarkable, especially given that they've only added a bit of bracing around the windscreen frame and a bit of bracing at the back, 60 more kilos in weight. And BMW reckons they're going to sell 3 times more of these than the coupe. I could tell you that the steering's not quite as responsive, fast or communicative as like a Porsche 911, but then maybe we're missing the point here, because a 911 isn't available as a plug-in, not yet. And you're watching Fully Charged, so maybe you don't care that this sounds this good. Listen. Got a whistle of turbo, a sound which completely disguises the fact that it's only got 3 pistons. It sounds like it could be a straight 6, V6, but it is semi-synthesized like a lot of cars now. You can't quite work out what's real and what is a synthesizer. I was told by BMW last night, normally a new model would be about €1 billion. These iCars have been €2 billion. But don't forget, all the trickle down of this technology will go into their other cars. It's an investment. Now, the one big difference between the coupe and the Roadster, apart from having a roof that comes off, is the fact that nobody can sit in the back. The coupe is a 2+2, and I mean for tiny kids, it's a 2+2. The Roadster is a strict 2-seater, so what you got here is actually a good 100 litres of storage space with a couple of little dividers you can put smaller bits in and compartmentalise it. And then you've got another luggage stowage in the back. So you've got 100 litres there, but then, although the engine is in the middle of this car, the engine is tucked away deep in there under soundproofing and cladding and stuff. You've still got a bit of luggage space here. You've got 88 litres here, so you've got 100 there, 88 there. When you open the boot on this car and the door, it's where you see what you're paying for. This material here is CFRP, carbon fibre reinforced polymer or plastic, and the tub of this i8 is like the coupe, made of this expensive stuff, and BMW have invested massively in it. You see it here and you see it nice and bare on the door openings here. It's beautiful stuff. And then you see it here. Because remember, the whole tub of this car, the main cockpit, is carbon fibre reinforced plastic. The chassis is aluminium. The batteries live in this centre console spine here. And then the panels that are clad on the outside, these are all lightweight plastic. So it's a really interestingly constructed car. Even if you don't like the way it looks, you can't help but be drawn to it, I think, from an engineering point of view. And of course, I can't forget the fact that these doors still exist. BMW call them dihedral doors, I call them butterfly doors. But what's amazing is normally when a car gets turned into a convertible, you lose the flamboyant engineering like this because it's really tough to achieve. You've got to make sure that this is bolted to here. You're cutting a piece of a car away and you don't want it to flex and be horribly and floppy. BMW have only added 60 kilos to this over the coupe, which is remarkable. The other thing about the i8 Roadster is I don't think it appeals more to technology enthusiasts and people that just want a really intergalactic looking car rather than a raw sports car. I bet there's a lot of i8s that have sold to people who maybe aren't sports car fanatics, they're not petrol heads, they're not those sorts of people. It's always an event when you see one. I'm always excited to see one. It still looks so out there. I'm driving it now on an open kind of highway. It's really comfortable. It's an enjoyable car to pound the miles out in. And I think in this day and age, that's what a lot of people want from a sports car. They want it to be a bit more pliable, a bit more forgiving. It kind of doesn't matter whether you're an eco freak and someone that wants to buy a car for its efficiency. The thing about the i8 is, it's just such an amazing piece of engineering, and it's also an amazing piece of design, aesthetics. There's so many amazing angles. It's a car that 4 years after it came out, I'm still ogling over it. I still see the effect it has on people around us. This Roadster version, it goes a little bit further now, EV only. And I like the fact that you've got that dual personality. You can slink around in total silence, or you can just fully uncork it, let the engine strike up and really give it some performance. There's not many cars that let you have those kinds of options. On the one hand, it's a really expensive car, 125,000 quid. And in that bracket, it's a slower car than a lot of its competitors. But then on the other hand, I actually think that it's an amazing value, given the materials it's made out of, given the fit and finish of it, given the package. It's an astonishing car. It's so interesting. We will look back in 10, 15, 20 years and we will still be amazed by the i8.